Hey team, hi. So this is TJ. So I'll be a trainer for the new batch that's starting from today onwards. So we will be having a discussion on various topics regarding why we need to perform automation testing and what all tools we might be using for automation testing. But before beginning for automation testing, let's see what exactly is testing. So usually I'll just tell you about myself, a brief about myself. So I'm an engineer, so who's working on automation projects from a long while. I have 8+ years of experience into IT industry, and I've been working on multiple tools with multiple companies. So yeah, I have a varied experience with different technologies, with different languages. So I think I could help you with getting on board with the different technologies that we'll be looking into the batch, as well as some concepts. Since I'm also working in a real enterprise, right? So I can even quote some real examples for you. And that's the main thing when you go for an interview, the company looks for the same. Because bookish knowledge is one thing, right? But we need to know one thing, that's how do you interact in a real environment? If you face some situation, then how do you react to that situation? At times, the questions in the interview that you come across are the questions which needs answer in a situational manner. So yes, so we'll be going through these all type of questions and everything throughout the whole batch. But one thing that I'll be asking you all is, please maintain a proper communication, right? So I'll be asking questions. If you have some questions, raise your hand. We can clear the questions then and there. Don't think that I won't be answering. I'll be answering. I'm here to answer all each and every question of yours. Okay. So team, let's begin. Let's see how we'll be starting. So team, these are the table of contents for day one that we'll be catering. That's testing and why automation. What is Selenium? Advantages, disadvantages of Selenium. Then the difference between QTP and Selenium. Okay, so would anyone like to tell me about testing? What exactly is testing? What do you mean by testing? Where do you exactly do testing? So yeah, I think everyone will be having a vague idea about what is testing, right? So testing is nothing, just in a layman language, is just testing a product. Testing means to check whether the product that has been developed by someone, whether it meets the requirement or not. So let's take the example of Zoom video. So we are using a Zoom video to record the video or to share a screen, right? So when the Zoom company was developing the product, so it had listed some requirements, like there should be an application with the help of which the user should be able to share his screen. There should be an application with which user should be able to share his voice. There should be an application with which the user should be able to share the video, something or the other, right? They might be having multiple requirements, true. So since they're having multiple requirements, right? So we need to ensure that when the end product is built or when some incremental products are built, then we need to make sure that all the requirements have been met as per proper criteria. So at that process, when we need to validate some requirements, right? At that process, testing comes into picture. And testing is one of the most important part of the industry. Initially, I have been working in the companies where testing was not given much importance. They used to say that, okay, we need to hire like 15, 20 developers, but I need only one tester, because I don't think testing will be that much effort. Testing is nothing, it can be done by anyone. So we'll be hiring more of developers and one tester. So there was 20 to 1 ratio. So I have worked in that environment also. So I used to test and work with 20 developers at a time, and I was single-handedly handling the applications. But later on, gradually, you know what happened in that company? They realized that's it's too much of work, and we need to perform rigorous testing around it. We need to perform rigorous scenarios. We need to check each and every scenario from starting till end, like end-to-end flow needs to be checked. So later on, they realized that yes, testing is also important. Then later on, gradually they increase number of QAs in my team. So from one QA, we went to 11 QA in the team. So that's how, like, that's a real example from my experience. So that's what I was telling you about. So let's see what's testing exactly. So I won't be reading. So usually how do I prepare the presentation is, I don't read the things that are there in the presentation. I'll just read a brief about it, but I'll try to explain the things that are there in the presentation, because this thing is there with you, right? You can even read it. But what I mean is, I need to explain the things rather than just reading it line by line, right? So let's see only one line over here. Software testing is a process of evaluation of a software item to detect differences between given input and expected output. Sorry. So what I just said, that we are validating a product by comparing it to the requirements, right? So what are the requirements? Requirements were the input, and what is the expected output? The product. So that was the same thing that I just explained to you, right? So are you able to relate the things? So just don't go anywhere like technical things. We need to learn technical things also, but we need to even have experience. We need to say what is the main concept. We can't just go with the by bookish definition. We just need to we need to know more about the concepts, how the thing works, how does testing works, what exactly is done in testing. So like whenever we think of something, right? For example, I'll just tell, hey, do you know about this thing? So straight away, I think many of the people won't say no, but they'll try to first think of questions related to that particular thing. Like for example, I asked you, do you know about Calvin Klein? So first of all, you'll try to see what's Calvin Klein. That's a brand. Yeah, I've heard about it. So you'll be having multiple questions in your mind. Is he asking about the same Calvin Klein or something else? So that's a similar thing. Just try to understand the concept, and answer is there in front of you. Okay. So yeah, that was a little bit about testing, but yes, we'll be going in brief throughout, since we are having day-wise batches over here, day-wise sessions over here. So we'll be giving each and every day to particular section. So today's session is only based on a brief that will be going throughout our lectures. Okay. So next is automation. So basically, what do you mean by automation? Automation, like automate, right? Automate, if we could divide the word at automate. So automate means to do the things automatically. Automatically in by it by self means like we need to do some things without some human intervention, without some manual intervention, right? So automatically doing something. So usually in the manual processes or in the manual testing, we are performing the same actions again and again. Like we are launching the application, we are clicking on a button, we are entering the username password, we're tapping on login button, and something else, right? So in that similar manner, with the steps could be even automated. This could steps could also be written in an automatic manner. So that, you know what, with the help of automation, many industries have reduced the number of resources. And since the number of resources have been reduced, you see the cost of the project can be reduced. So even you can take another benefit of it. So if the cost of the project is reduced, you can even expect higher increment in your salary, right? So that's a good benefit, I would say. But yes, if you are moving from a manual industry, right, to automation industry, that's a very good aspect. Even the manual industry is very good these days. But yes, companies are looking for people who are involved both in the manual and the automation part, because they need a person who could do the end-to-end jobs. So initially, when I even started my career, I was in a manual tester, but later on, I gradually, with my experience, I learned different technologies, different languages, different automation tools, because that was the requirement that was coming from my clients. And even I think the world was also requiring to update yourself. So yeah, I did. So even here, so I even started with Selenium, right? Initially, before Selenium, I was working on UFT and QTP, so that's some different thing. So we won't be talking about that. But yes, initially I started with those tools, but later on I shifted myself to Selenium. So yes, we'll be doing test automation, in which we'll be doing all the manual tasks that is done on a regular basis manually in an automated manner. So what we'll be doing, we'll be writing some scripts in order to perform those things. So because automation can't be done on its own automatically, right? We need to provide some inputs in the starting, correct? So in order to provide those inputs, we need to write some scripts. So exactly, I can give you a quote, an example over here. What happens, so in your mobile phone, so everyone will be having a mobile phone, right? In a mobile phone, you have a clock. In the clock, you are allowed to set a alarm, right? You are given an option that you could set an alarm for future dates, right? So what do you think? What is it exactly? It's a kind of automation, right? They have given some functionality to you in which you could set the date and the time at which you want to be reminded, correct? So like just try to relate things to smaller things. Once you try relating the things to minute details, then the concept will be much more better, clearer to you. That's my way of thinking. And I think this thing has helped me a lot in the learning process. So I think this will help you a lot also. Just try learning, and wherever you feel like question, So Google is there first of all with everyone, right? Google is every time there. Even I learned from Google, but right now the sessions also I am there, and even after the sessions are over, we are available for you each and every time. So let's go to this slide. So since we are dealing about automation, right? So there are multiple automation tools, right? So we won't be talking about multiple automation tools. We will be talking about only one automation tool. That's called Selenium. So Selenium is a tool that's an open source based tool. Okay. What is meant by open source? Open source is a tool in which you don't require any client license. You don't need to pay any fees. Just download it and use it. It's free of cost. You don't need to pay any fees even to download the product. Okay. So Selenium is a free open source automated testing framework used to validate. Yes, here comes the main part. So Selenium is a tool that is used to validate web applications. Okay. Keep in mind that it is used for web applications. Later on, multiple tools have been developed for different applications too, but the base of different automation tools is again Selenium or different tools, right? So I'll be telling you a little bit some more about those tools even. So Selenium is basically, let's see, first point is it's an open source tool, right? It's used to validate the web applications, correct? And next point is using Selenium, we could use multiple languages. Multiple languages I mean by like C#, we can use Java, we can use Python, we can use Ruby. And like the 6 languages that we could use with the Selenium to write our own scripts. So yes, Selenium is a tool, is a basic tool that is in very demand right now. So it was a tool, I think that was launched way back in I think 2010. So that was on during that time initially, and before that also it was a product, but it was launched way back. But this tool is still in demand at today's date even. If you go on the internet and search for Selenium positions in the world, you will see a multiple number of positions, multiple number of companies who are asking for Selenium testers. So the Selenium testers may range from experience who are having like 0 to 1 or 1 to 2 year experience, even from the people who are having 10 to 12 years of experience. So Selenium is not going anywhere any soon. Okay. So I would suggest please stick to this course. And if you'll be sticking to this course, you'll be learning each and everything step by step. That will be helping you in your interviews if you're preparing for an interview, or if you're learning for yourself, or if you're learning for your project. It will help you in each and every possible manner. So just stick with me. Just go step by step. Please follow the process that I'm following. Please follow the order in which we are going. Don't just try to jump further, but just try to follow me. So if we are on the same page, then I think we'll be able to clear each and everyone's doubt. So this is a small diagram that's being shown to you right now. That's Selenium. That's a diagram that's being shown to you. So it's basically a Selenium architecture. So what all Selenium suite comprises of. So we'll be talking about this in detail, but I'll just give you a gist right now. Sorry. So Selenium suite consists of Selenium IDE. That was the very first developed thing for Selenium. So when Selenium came into actual picture, so they developed a Selenium IDE. Okay. Then there was Selenium RC. What was that? Selenium remote control. Okay. That was the thing that was helping in interacting with the browsers. So after Selenium IDE was developed, then Selenium RC was developed. Okay. Along with that, we were having WebDriver. That was separate module. Okay. Separate module, I means they had to be worked upon using separate entities. So it's like I need to first start a Selenium remote control. Then with the help of WebDriver, I used to send requests into the browser. So yeah, don't panic right now if I'm just giving a brief right now, because I'm having different details about this thing in the next coming sessions, because that's a separate concept that we need to focus on properly. I just can't give only 10 minutes on that. It's a separate concept. Okay, don't be fear. So next is the Selenium grid. So Selenium grid is something that is used for parallel execution. So you know what is meant by parallel execution? Parallel execution is nothing, just if I just send a command right now from my system, I could run the same test in all of your system right now. So that is done with the help of Selenium grid. So we could execute sorry, my throat is bad. So yeah, my throat was bad, so sorry for the disturbance. Yeah. So basically, we have four suite components that are Selenium IDE, Selenium RC, WebDriver, and Selenium Grid. So later on, you know what? Right now we are using Selenium version 4. So there's a Selenium version 4 that's there out in the market. That's a beta version available for the end users. But the most stable version right now is 3. Version. That most of the people who are working on the automation scripts are using it. Okay. So Selenium came into the picture, which was a combination of Selenium RC plus Selenium WebDriver. So it was a combination of Selenium RC and the WebDriver that together constituted and made one Selenium component. So this is the Selenium 2 and Selenium 3 that we'll be learning. So Selenium 2 was the previous version. Now we'll be working on Selenium 3. And even we have newer improved version in the market that's called Selenium 4. So yes, don't be frightened right now. I'm just telling you a brief that we'll be discussing throughout our whole sessions. Let's go step by step, okay? That's just about Selenium and its components of the test suits. Sorry, Selenium suite. Now let's see what are the advantages. So, you know what? Let me ask you people. Do you know what could be the advantages over here? So since I told you many things about Selenium right now, so can you please suggest me? So usually, okay, so I'll just wait for a while. So Selenium advantage, first of all, I'll just say that one thing. So I won't be reading all of the things over here. You can read it later on, but I'll be telling you main things. So what's that? First of all, it's an open source. A tool being open source is one of the major and most important advantage because it doesn't involve any cost. Then next thing is it allows you to create your scripts in multiple languages. That's Java, Perl, Python, Ruby, Groovy, JavaScript, right? There are multiple languages that can be used. With the help of Selenium, we could automate multiple browsers. That's called multiple browsers in terms of like we could use Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Safari, Internet Explorer, Internet Edge, right? Multiple browsers are supported right now. And next thing is that, you know what, there's a concept called end-to-end testing. End-to-end testing means once the code is developed by the developer, then once he has pushed the build into the Git repository. So Git is a repository where the whole code is kept at a place, right? So that's a place where you store your code. So any of the repositories, like it's a Git, Git Bash, or GitHub, or like you could even use SQL repository. There are multiple repository depending on your company, whichever you are using. But most popular are the ones Git. Most people use in the company are the Git repositories. Okay, so end-to-end testing means once the code has been pushed by the developer into Git repository, and once the repository has taken the fresh code, then we'll make a build. Then we'll use the code to make a build. Once the build is prepared, I'll start the automated testing automatically. Once the testing has been done, so a report should be published and should be shared to the stakeholders or whomsoever required. So you know one thing, starting from the step when the code has been pushed into the branches or into the Git repository, everything from there till sending the reports, everything is done automatically. What's that called? That's called end-to-end, right? So that's called with the help of CI/CD pipelines, continuous integration, continuous development. So if you use those concepts, and that helps us in performing such kind of actions. So Jenkins is one of the tools that helps us in performing CI/CD pipelines. Even Git these days has also given an option that we could even start our CI/CD pipelines on the Git itself. So that's some of the advantages that I just told you about. That was some of the major advantages that I just talked about. Now let's see what are disadvantages. So disadvantages of Selenium. What do you think? So what I feel from my experience is Selenium initially was having one of the major disadvantages that it doesn't help us in identifying an image. So while working with Selenium directly, we are not able to work on images. So there was a problem with Selenium that it could not help it. So it wasn't giving any functionality to work with the images. So, but we have third-party vendors. So we have third-party tools that we could integrate with Selenium together. So there's a Securely that we could use. We could use Auto IT. So there are multiple jars or multiple tools that are available that we could use in order to work with the things that are not available in Selenium. Next thing is that it supports only web-based applications, no mobile-based applications, no window-based applications, right? Next thing, what I usually believe is that for each report generation, so I've been working with multiple automation tools. So each automation tool has its own report generation mechanism, right? But this tool doesn't have any report generation mechanism. So we need to again integrate a third party tool. So TestNG provides or TestNG or the extent reports we could use over here in order to generate our reports. So these are some of the disadvantages that Selenium doesn't have, but this doesn't stop us from using Selenium, because there are many tools out there in the market that could be integrated together with the Selenium and be used. So Selenium has disadvantages, I agree with that, but it's a tool that we could not miss. It's a tool that we have to use. It's one of the best tools that's available out there to test the web applications. So I hope, team, it's clear to you all, right? If you have any doubts, please stop me, okay? I'm here to answer each and every question of yours. Okay, so let's move if no one has any doubt. Next is QTP versus Selenium. So you know what, QTP is a tool that's again used for automation, and Selenium is also a tool that's used for automation. So that's one common thing between both of them. But again, with one common thing, we have a number of differences also. So as I told you that Selenium is open source, right? But QTP is licensed tool. So it's a seat license tool. Seat license, I mean by, so if there are 10 members in your team and each 10 member has to work on QTP, then you'll be requiring 10 different licenses in order to work with that. Next thing is that in QTP, we can only write our code with the help of VB script. We cannot write the code with another languages, but Selenium has an option which provides us the ability to write code in different languages like Ruby, Java, JavaScript, Groovy, C#. Multiple languages could be used over here. And since when the license comes into picture, right, it involves some cost, right? When the costs involved, it means we have to pay, and that thing will be going from our budget. So that means it will be an expensive thing for a project, right? But web automation, on the other hand, like for Selenium, it's free of cost. There's no problem in it. One of the advantage I would say for QTP is that it's helpful for testing the web-based application as well as the window-based application. And the Selenium only works on web-based applications. So just to make sure, Windows applications are the applications that are installed onto your system. For example, Microsoft Word is a Windows application. Microsoft Excel is a Windows application. Zoom app that we are currently using, it's a Windows application, right? So these are some kind of Windows applications that it could automate, whereas the Selenium couldn't automate Windows-based applications. So yes, I believe these are one of the major major differences between QTP and Selenium that we could discuss in a shorter while. So yes, that's all from my side. If you have any questions, please let me know right now. But I would suggest that if you don't have any questions right now, just go through the PPT once session is over. Okay, once session is over, then please come back to me tomorrow if you have any questions. So usually when I start my sessions, I give 5 to 10 minutes and ask people if they have any doubts in the previous sessions. Because what I believe is, once you have learned from the tutor, now next responsibility is that you need to learn it from yourself. Unless you start learning, unless you start exploring, I don't think it will help you in the long run. I am here to teach you, but yes, in order to learn something, you even have to dig deep, right? That's my way of learning. I think it will even help you. So please try. Okay, so please go to the PPT and I'll be sharing some assignments too. So let's work on that. I hope we'll be able to clear Selenium and web testing interviews very soon. Thank you, team. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Have a nice day.